Hello and welcome to Afternoon Tea with Karen. Now this is over for the day. I was pretty chuffed to see Claire from Tassie has gone international.
Let's jump into this clip.
What are the qualifications for recognition of a state at international law?
Recognition of a state is primarily a political decision.
At international law, it's a political decision to recognise a state. There must be some sort of legal definition that we use to determine whether something is a state.
There are some, traditional criteria that are relevant, but the ultimate decision of whether to recognise is a political one.
What are the traditional criteria?
They are a permanent population, a defined territory, a government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other states.
So my understanding is those are the criteria set out under the Montevideo Convention, is that correct?
Correct.
So they're not traditional criteria, they're something that's set out under a convention.
But a decision whether to recognise is a political decision.
Does Palestine have agreed borders which define its territory?
I think I can't give legal advice on the application of those criteria to the committee. I think I would point the committee to...
It's a physical question, not a legal question. Does Palestine have agreed borders which define its territory?
I would refer that to DFAT.
Really?
Yes.
Does Palestine have a single government in effective control of its territory?
Senator, I think this is in fact legal advice because it's the application of criteria, so it would be giving you advice on legal considerations.
I think these questions are in relation to factual matters, though, not legal advice that you may or may not have provided the government. The question is, does Palestine have agreed borders and do they have a single government? I would have thought there was a pretty straightforward factual yes or no answer.
So, Senator, our involvement is with the Office of International Law as international legal advisors. Ms Sheehan's directed you to the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
Okay. Did the Office of International Law give advice to the government on whether Australia's recognition of a Palestinian state was legitimate?
We have given advice to government on the issue of recognition.
When was that advice provided, Ms Sheehan?
We need to take that on notice, I think, because...
Yeah, I think we might need to take on notice the precise dates. There would have been probably multiple occasions on which we provided advice.
Multiple occasions on which you provided advice?
Yes.
Over the scope of many years.
Many years. How many years, Ms Jones?
I think in my time in the department, this issue has come up numerous times, probably over the last 15 years.
Over the last 15 years.
But look, that's actually, I should be careful. I wouldn't be precise, but it's come up multiple times.
Okay, well, I think it would be useful for the committee to at least know how many times you've had to provide advice on this matter since the Labor government have been in power. And I'd hope that it would be relatively straightforward for some official here to provide that information to the committee before the end of this section of the program today. So when it became time for the government to make this specific recognition and this specific change in relation to recognition of Palestine, could you at least provide me with the date on which the Office of International Law gave advice to the government recently?
We'll take that on notice.
Okay.
It's almost exactly like having a conversation with a Palestinian about their history. It's remarkably similar, and you guys have seen me do it a million times now. It's almost exactly like having just a basic conversation with a Palestinian about their history.
What's the capital of Palestine?
Senator, we can't comment on that.
Because you don't know, or because you're legally unsure?
Well, I think it's not a matter for this department, Senator.
Do you know what the capital of Israel is?
Senator, I don't think that's a matter within the Attorney General's responsibilities.
Was the Office of International Law asked for advice on any of these questions that I have asked you today?
We've agreed to take on notice the dates of advice we've given.
Was the Office of International Law ever asked to provide advice on whether a state can be recognised on a conditional basis?
Senator, I think that's starting to get into the content of advice that we wouldn't comment on.
Okay, generally speaking, can recognition of a state ever be conditional?
It's like speaking to an AI chatbot. It's so crazy.
Senator, that would constitute legal advice.
I'm trying to figure out if I can phrase that in a way where it wouldn't constitute legal advice. I mean, going back to the evidence that you provided that apparently recognition of a state is a political question, but there is a legal framework under the Montevideo Convention that we utilise to make that determination. Does the Montevideo Convention allow for conditional recognition of a state?
I think that would be providing legal advice.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Whoever this senator, by the way, from Tasmania is, I love you. Claire Chandler, what a fucking beast. I love you.
Yep, I'm a bit of a fan too. Now, just in regards to why the minister got so rattled. Julia Finn, she's quite radical for the Labor Party. She only supports abortion up to 20 weeks when the heart starts beating. Anyway, this is her from 8 years ago.
I'd really like to thank you all for coming along this evening. Commemorating the Nakba is a very important thing to do, and I think it is important to do it here at the Parliament to really make sure that all of our colleagues are aware that we're prepared to stand up for Palestine and that there is a large community of interest here in New South Wales. I'd particularly like to thank John and Mahmood for your really insightful presentations. It really does show both of you, the depth of trauma that people have experienced through the ongoing dispossession. The Nakba is ongoing. While we refer to it specifically in its historic context 69 years ago, these things are ongoing, and the displacement continues to occur as the settlements continue to expand. Last year, I visited Lebanon with a bunch of other Labor MPs, and Shauket Musulman and I went to the Borj el Barajni camp that Sylvia referred to in Beirut, and that is a camp made up of people who were displaced in 1948, and it is really distressing to see the conditions that they live in, because it's a temporary settlement of under a square kilometre where tens and tens of thousands of people live. Buildings that are 7 stories high that don't have proper foundations. The water pipes and the electricity pretty much run next to each other, and there's actually, unfortunately, a lot of people die from electrocutions because it's just not safe, because the water pipes were not put under the ground because it's only temporary. And unfortunately, those people don't have work rights. A lot of them do work, but they are underpaid. And this is the ongoing situation for Palestinian refugees in Lebanon. And it's gotten worse in recent years with the massive influx of Syrian refugees, because there are plenty of aid organisations who are now providing support to all of them. So there's actually less support provided to Palestinians. Just on that note, I really do think it's wonderful that there are so many people who want to come along and commemorate the Nakba. I represent an electorate where there are quite a lot of Palestinian families and, of course, a very, very large Lebanese population. So the Nakba commemorations happen around my area quite a bit, but it's important to also bring this to wider attention. So I do thank you all for coming along tonight. I think this is an important thing to commemorate. And personally, having had such a hard time that David mentioned from the Liberals for speaking against Netanyahu's visit a few months ago, here in this place, it's good to know that you actually have a lot of comrades. And my negative experience is unpleasant as it was, is nothing compared to having your home stolen away from you and being driven from your home, seeing your family members being killed, and not having people consider that you have a right to return to that land. People who in every other context regard people's right to own private property as sacrosanct and an important part of the law pretty much everywhere in the world. So thank you again for coming, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Enjoy a lot of the sandwiches and the drinks. And the State of Origin is on here too if you want to hang around for that as well. So go New South Wales.
And because I've got enough time, here's her stance on abortions.
I was a member of Emily's List and I resigned after I voted against the 2019 legislation. When I joined, I made it clear that I don't support late-term abortions and was told neither do they. I didn't ask what they meant by that, and I should have, and that is on me, not on them.
So a bit of a rebel, but knows where the sandwiches are. Anyway, that'll do. See you later. Bye.